a legal dispute over tinted glasses on your cars, if you have tinted glasses on your cars in Nigeria, is escalating. This comes after a federal high court ruling which ordered police to suspend enforcement of a new permit policy. However, the Nigeria Police Force says it has not been formally served with the court order. The disagreement played out on social media between a human rights lawyer and a police spokesperson. The lawyers shared parts of the ruling that restrained police from enforcing the policy, but the police responded by highlighting another part of the same ruling, which denied several of the applicants' key requests. So the police maintain that their enforcement actions are for security and for road safety, but the legal challenge argues that this policy violates citizens' rights. So for more legal perspectives about the enforcement of the controversial tinted glass policy by the police and the legal challenges that come with it, we have the lawyer Malachy Ugummadu, who's joining both of us now on Newsday. And I think I'll start by thank you for joining us, sir, for one. And I think I'll just start by, news that people can use, because I think whenever we're dealing with legal stories, it kind of becomes confusing for regular people who might just be tuning into the story. So if you have a car with tinted windows right now, are you in danger? What are the challenges? How should people be thinking about this issue on a regular person perspective?
Well, let's make a few concessions, namely that there is in existence the Motor Vehicle Tinted Glass Prohibition Act. It used to be a decree that was promulgated in 1991 that became an act when we transited into civil rule. Right there in that legislation, there are prohibitions, there are conditions for the use of tinted vehicles. Mm-hmm. That said, you are also aware, because I talk about making few concessions, understanding the facts that are available to us. You're also aware that on the 3rd of October, a few days ago, a federal high court in the Warri Judicial Division made an interim injunction, or issued an interim injunction restraining the police from enforcing the ban on the tinted glass as announced. Now, that case was brought by one of us, Mr. John Martins, and the senior advocate, Kunle Edun, instituted the matter on his behalf. Mm-hmm. Now, if the police force public relation officer, as I heard you say, indicated or pointed at a portion of the order that said the court, in granting the injunction, refused certain important reliefs. That is knowledge. Mm-hmm. In fact, in law, there is what you call constructive knowledge. Mm-hmm. So it mustn't be an actual knowledge. If you have a constructive knowledge of the fact that a matter is pending in court, what you are required to do, no less by the chief law enforcement agency in the country, is to obey. Now, the one he concedes was granted by the court is the one maintaining status quo. That's a bit technical, but it's as simple as ABC for lawyers. Now, to break it down for the public is to say that status quo means the situation that prevailed, that existed before the controversy ensued, of course, leading up to litigation, disputation, and whatever. So here we are. What was the status quo before this moment? It is that time when we were not harassed, when we were not troubled. That is the status quo. Therefore, the court was well within its rights, given the facts that were presented to it, to rule that that status quo should remain, both on the side of the plaintiff and the respondent and the general public, particularly the respondent, which is the police, the Inspector General of Police, and the Nigerian police force should maintain status quo pending the determination of the matter. In other words, except and until the matter is determined by this same court, ordering that status quo should be maintained, no person should take
any action.
God bless you.
Okay.
So what is confusing about that?
I couldn't agree more.
Now, if you don't mind, because I'm a bit, I'm actually in two minds how we are traveling in this country. 14 years ago.
I was going to come to that.
Perhaps you throw your question.
No, of course. I just wanted to say that this is something that you can personally relate to, because this is, for a lot of people who need to understand, this issue did not just begin. 14 years ago, you actually battled this case out in court. And now 14 years after, we're seeing the same situation. So what is it about this issue that makes it so technical and so difficult to come to an agreement on whether or not the tinted glasses are required or not? And even obtaining the tinted glasses, on the other hand, I believe they said it was about 21,500 naira. To get it, you need to get a doctor's report for or security recommendation and some other things. So really, what are the issues here? To keep it or not to keep it? Why is it such a contention?
Imagine all of those thresholds, all of those conditions for a country in which you have a fundamental right. Now, it is fundamental because it is entrenched in the Constitution. Look, some of us don't just hear it, we believe it. And we act it and demonstrate it. We also need to convince ourselves that we are not from Cameroon. We are Nigerians, sufficiently imbued with those rights. So, that 14 years ago, the police came out with a blanket ban on the use of tinted glass and issued a public advertorial. It was on the 14th of May, 2011. That advertorial was taken out by the Minister for Police Affairs. I can't forget his name, Humphrey Abba. On the basis of that advertorial, the then Inspector General of Police gave a deadline that come so and so date, no person will be allowed to use tinted glass vehicles. Now, we cannot legitimately challenge the modalities adopted by the Nigerian police in policing Nigeria. No doubt about that. But where they do that in violation of our rights, we will stand up.
Right.
And here is the kernel of the matter. It is that I have a right, a fundamental right of movement. That fundamental right of movement is as facilitated by my legs as they are by the vehicle I use.
You know,
I don't produce the vehicles. As at that time, we can't say Nigeria produced vehicles.
You know, I have to apologize because, you know, we're being told that we have to wrap up the conversation. But thank you so much for your thoughts on this conversation. I do apologize for cutting you off because that was a very important point.